Hey book lovers! It has been such a long time since I have sat down and filmed a video. I am so excited to be back here on BookTube, and I'm so excited just to give you all of the life updates. I've literally been gone for like over a year, and that's just too long. If you're new here, my name is Kay, this is my library, and we just love to talk about books around here. So I started this channel when I was initially 4 months postpartum. I was craving connection. I really just wanted to meet other moms and women that love to read, and just to have something for myself to do for my creative side. And I've always loved watching BookTube, and so I thought that was just the perfect, most natural thing for me to do. I really love BookTube because unlike Bookstagram or other platforms, I feel like I'm just sitting down and having a conversation, whereas with things like Instagram, sometimes I feel super awkward trying to make that perfect like 10-second reel to catch somebody's attention. But here I just feel like it's so laid back and we can just talk about books and life and, you know, whatever we want to talk about. After I started the channel, I quickly got pretty overwhelmed. There were just so many different things going on in life at that point. I did struggle with some pretty bad postpartum depression. Praise God, He has just delivered me from. And I struggled a lot around whether or not I wanted to be promoting books and certain things. To get into that, I really just want to talk about what God has taught me over this past year. God has been working in my heart so much since becoming a mom. He has sent me the most incredible women in person that are, you know, lovers of Jesus, that also are moms, that love books. I actually have an in-person book club with a few women from my church, and that's been so much fun. But like I said, over the past few years, so I originally joined Bookstagram at the end, I think, of 2021, but my heart has always been kind of unsettled by it because a lot of the things that I was reading were not aligning with my faith. They did not reflect Christ, and they did not really have, you know, characters or people that were inspiring to who I would want to be. So you know what they say, like, you're like the top 5 people you spend the most time with, and I was just not spending time in books or in the Word or in things that were really building my character and faith in the way that I was hoping. With the realization that a lot of the stuff I was reading, I kind of took a look and was just seeing a trend of reading books with explicit scenes, toxic relationships, and other themes and messages that just pulled my heart away from Christ. I know that God has pointed this out to me before, and it was one of those things that I just had such a hard time saying no to and letting go of. And it makes me think of that story in, I think it's in the book of Matthew for sure, but about the rich man who comes up to Jesus and he's like, "Hey, I'm so ready to follow you." And Jesus is like, "Okay, well, if you're that ready, go sell everything you own and come and follow me." And it said like he went away sad. And that's kind of how books have been for me. They've been almost this idol in my life, and they haven't been something that have been faith-centered or drawing me closer to Christ. And so the thought of letting them go has just been so scary, so sad to me. And a lot of that too is because I didn't know how much good Christ-centered or Christian fiction was out there. When I think about Christian books, I typically just think about nonfiction, which is not my favorite genre to read. I just didn't know there was this whole other world out there. I knew of authors like Francine Rivers, and I had read Redeeming Love a few years ago, and I absolutely loved that story. Part of it is my fault for not going out of the way to do a lot of research and find those books that aligned with my faith. I genuinely just did not know that such a world of books existed. And it wasn't until really this past July that God really sat me down, or this past couple months, I would say. And this past July is when I finally made the jump, when God was like, you are overwhelmed. You have been sad. You have been feeling like you're far from me. What are you revolving your life around? And I'm just thinking like, okay, well, the things I'm doing in my spare time is I'm focusing on my son, I'm focusing on my health and well-being. And in my downtime, what I really like to do is I read. I've started writing my first novel. However, a lot of the things I've been doing have just been going with emotions. Nothing I have been doing has really been revolved around Christ. So what I really felt God telling me is, you need to stop trying to fit me into your life, and instead you need to revolve your life around me. So what that looks like is me taking different pieces of my life, like reading, and instead it's something I love to do. It's something I'm going to do. I find it as a relaxing, enjoyable thing. So instead, I can revolve these books around God-honoring messages. And I have felt so much peace switching my reading over to just being God-honoring books, and books where there are conversations about Christ. Books where, yeah, there are probably these toxic relationships and things, but seeing how Christ can work through those types of situations. Because if we're being honest, we live in a secular world. We live in a world that is totally overran by Satan and his forces. We need to actively be seeking out Jesus in our lives in order for us to feel that peace and that joy and that connection with him. Because yeah, I could say all day that I'm a Christian and I'm a believer, but am I living a set apart life from the world? Am I just reading the same books every other person is reading because that's what the mainstream media is pushing out? It goes so much deeper than that. And by the way, I hope I do not offend anybody by anything that I'm saying. This just truly comes from a really deep personal conviction that has been stewing in my heart for years. And I think it's one of the reasons I have been so unable to be consistent with Bookstagram or BookTube or things like that, because a part of me has known these are not the messages that Jesus has put me here on this earth to send. Jesus has put me on this earth to spread his word, his gospel, his story, to share my testimony. And I am just so excited that, you know, God has put this passion of reading in my heart, and it's something that he wants me to be able to use that passion and find other authors and stories that are also believers that have those important messages to spread. Because if we're being honest, to reach lost people, if you just sit down and tell them, hey, read the Bible, 9 out of 10 times they're probably not going to do that. But people might listen to a story, they might read a book, they might listen to what you have to say or from your experiences, and then those are kind of the seeds planted, so to speak, that end up festering in their lives, and eventually down the road they have roots there. Y'all, I feel like I'm going on such a big preaching tangent, and I'm so sorry. I'm so excited that I have truly been learning what it means to repent and to turn towards God. And you guys, it is so freeing. It is so joyful, and I am just so incredibly grateful for what the Lord has been teaching me in this season. And I feel like I've gotten the green light from him. Okay, we've given you a heart check. You know what your mission is now when it comes to these types of platforms. And I want to be able to show up honestly and authentically as myself with my faith. If you're not a Christian, you are still absolutely welcome here. Just know that everything I am reading from here on out is going to be viewed from a Christian lens. So this past January, I have decided to take up Jesus's words literally, to sell everything. I have been going through my entire library. I'm getting rid of 75% of it. I've probably gotten rid of 50% of my books at this point, and I have been selling books. I've dropped some off at free little libraries. I've given some away to friends and family that I know would really like these certain books, and I have like my specific criteria, and I don't want to go too into that because that's very personal in my conviction, but my list of if the book includes XYZ, I'm getting rid of it, period. And so that's what I've been doing. And with the money that I've made from selling books, I have been replacing them with Christian fiction books, because honestly, just bookshelves with no books on them would be far too depressing for me. So you might see quite a bit of Christian titles behind me that I am so excited to read and so excited to talk to you guys about. I just have so much joy around this. I guess you could say I've been baptizing my TBR because I'm getting rid of all the things that are not of God, of my faith, that don't align with my values, and I'm replacing them with the stories that share redemption and the love of Jesus instead. I am feeling so much more joy and so much more peace when I've been reading these past several weeks and really getting into Christian fiction, because I've literally cried, I've felt goosebumps, I've not been angry like one time. Well, I guess that's a lie. I'll tell you what I've been angry about in a minute, because I'm going to share with you just my reading wrap up from July in this video also. I'm back. I want to share what I've been finding with other Christian women or just Christian readers that want to read Christian fiction books, that just want a story. Because if we're being honest, Jesus told parables. Stories are important. God is a creator. We are made in God's image. So we are made to be creators and to be creative too. So it's okay to want to take in fictional stories and creative works. I think it's just very important that we guard our hearts and what we are allowing into our hearts, because scripture says, you know, what's in the heart, that's what flows out the mouth, and it really does just permeate every single area of our life, what's in our hearts. So I've just hit this roadblock where I'm just done entertaining anything that is not of God and that does not make me feel the peace and the joy that the Lord brings me. This space from here on out, I am officially inserting myself into Christian BookTube, so to speak. I want to share this space, like I said, with other women and readers with just clean, faith-filled, wholesome books and series. So here I am, showing up authentically as myself. Hi, my name is Kay. I am a Christian. I am a C. I am a CH. I am a CHRISTIAN. I didn't grow up as a Christian. One day I'll share my testimony on here. And my son, he's turning 2 in September, and I have learned all of the Bible songs because of just the things that we listen to with him. And let me tell you, nothing gets that boy dancing like the I Am a C song. Without further ado, let me just go ahead and give you guys a little reading wrap up from all the books that I read in July. And then I think I might do a couple videos of book hauls with what I've gotten for different genres. Because guys, I have probably gotten, this sounds really bad, like 50 new books, but I've sold way more than that and I'm not going into debt for it, okay? Eventually I'll do like an actual haul for you guys so you can see what I've gotten, but just know that's going to be a fairly long video. So I'm gonna do a little coffee break while I grab off my shelves all the books that I should have grabbed before I started to film this video. I've got the goods. I read some chonkers this month, these 2 books right here. So this was the first Christian fiction book that I read, and well, okay, that's a lie. Hi, buddy. Do you want to come talk about books with Mama? Okay, I'm gonna try not to get his face in this, but he wants to be held by Mama right now, so we're gonna let him. So anyway, the book series, whoop, 2 books of the 3 books in the series that I read. This is the Lion's Mark Trilogy by Francine Rivers. I have not read the third one yet, but I read, is this backwards? Okay, this one's the first one, A Voice in the Wind, and then An Echo in the Darkness. In this book, so I'm still working on annotating the second one, because all of my marks are on Libby, and my book gets returned in like 2 days, so I need to like hurry up and finish annotating my highlights in that. Well, I sure think filming with a toddler is going to be very interesting. Oh my word, y'all. This series is incredible. I think every Christian should read it. It's a fiction set during the time of 70 AD, the temple destruction in Jerusalem, and you're following 3 main lines of characters. So you're following Hadassah, who is a Christian, was in Jerusalem while all the Romans were coming through, and they destroyed her whole family. She gets saved by the grace of God, and she is sent to Rome to be a servant, a slave for the household. I cannot remember their last name right now, but it's an aristocratic household in Rome. They are very, very wealthy, one of the wealthiest families there. And so you get kind of the point of view from everybody in that family. And I was angry. So angry, because I told you earlier I was angry. What the Roman world and lifestyle was like, it is so scarily reminiscent of modern day America. Like, yeah, it hit so close to home as I was reading. I was like, I might as well be living in ancient Rome today. Like the sister in that family, the daughter in that family, her name is Julia. Girl, she needs help. Hadassah is called to be Julia's slave, and Julia is some choice words that I don't say, and I'm not going to say on here, but they're in my head. And then you follow this warrior, a Germanic warrior. His name is Atreides. He becomes captive of this Roman like legion who comes and like picks him up when he was trying to like fight them off, and then he's starting to now be trained as a Roman gladiator, and he hates Rome, and now he needs to fight to be an entertainer for Rome. Parts of it felt like fantasy because the Romans, they believed in different gods, they worshipped different gods, and so you're hearing them talk about these gods like they're real, and you're seeing how they would worship these gods. And then Atreides, he follows a totally different god, and so parts of it felt very fantastical because you're hearing about all these other ways of worshiping. And then you're seeing Hadassah, and she's like a Christian, and she knows Jesus. And the first and second story, I can't give anything away from the second, but it's such a beautiful, beautiful picture of redemption and what Jesus truly does in lives. And it really shows the hardness, especially the second book, really goes into forgiveness, what it really is, and how hard it actually is to do. Because there are some people that we truly just do not want to forgive. And you know, you guys, I can't say enough good things about it. I just truly think that every Christian should read that series. So the next one I read, I actually do not have a physical copy of, but I'm getting a physical copy because I'm meeting this author and see in a few months at a book convention. The book is called But He's My Grumpy Neighbor, and it's by Anna Conwell. I would not say this is like a Christian fiction book. It's a very clean romance, and when I say clean, because I know some people are weird about that term, I mean there's no explicit scenes or language, no sexual anything, nothing like that in it, but it is like the perfect grumpy sunshine trope. So this gal, she's living in this small town. It's basically just an old people small town. There's like nobody there her age, and she gets a new neighbor, and he is a grump, and he's also super hot. So she's like very certain she is going to like peel back his layers because she wants to like know who he is, and she kind of gets enjoyment out of the fact that he's grumpy, and it's just so wholesome, so cute. It's very Gilmore Girls in the sense that he reminds me of Luke James. She does not remind me of Lorelai, but the town, there's like a town meeting at one point. I was just cracking up. Like, this entire book is one that you were just going to be like giggling and kicking your feet at the whole time. 5 stars for sure. I loved it. So it was everything I want in a rom-com. So I highly recommend But He's My Grumpy Neighbor. Hey y'all. Now, I don't know if every book I'm reading is actually 5 stars or if I'm just loving reading again. But Eden Brook by Julianne Donaldson. Oh my stars. So I have never read a Regency romance before. I remember watching Bridgerton several years ago and I loved it, but it was like really like steamy and I was not a fan of that part of the show. But I loved the whole ballroom scenes, like the tension, the chemistry between the characters, and y'all, this is my standard for Regency romance from here on out. Literally, so you have Marianne, and she is sent to live in Bath with her grandma. And she hates it there. She is so bored, and she has this like annoying neighbor that's like always hitting on her, like in the way that they would hit on in the early 1800s. He's writing her poetry. That's really bad poetry. She gets an invitation to go to this estate called Eden Brook with her sister, and the person who owns it is her late mom's best friend. So she's like, oh my gosh, like this is what I need to leave Bath. I am hating it here. I'm so bored. I just want to escape. And she's not like other girls. She is not an elegant, poised lady. Like, she wants to twirl around. She wants to run wild in the fields. She is so fun. And then, so on her way to get to Eden Brook, she kind of gets held up in, I don't know what to call it, kind of like a heist. Like, her carriage gets attacked, and her driver, he ends up getting shot, and so he's alive, but they're trying to get help, so they stop at this inn, and she meets the most atrocious, attractive man on the planet. He is just starting off on the wrong foot, that's for sure. Guy won't tell her like who he is. He apologizes pretty early on, so that just made me so happy. I can't, like, the banter between Marianne and the guy in this book, literally, like, the guy is like 10 million% my husband, so I think that might be a part of why I liked it so much. Yeah, I feel like I'm not even doing the words to describe how much I loved this dang book, and I just found out there is a mini novella of like the night that leads up to the two meeting, but from the guy's perspective. I downloaded that immediately when I saw it. I'm so excited to read that, but I cannot get enough of this. I want this to be a movie. If you are Pride and Prejudice, if you like Pemberley, I think that's the name of like the place Mr. Darcy owns, if you like those kind of vibes, like horse rides together, there's ballroom scenes. I've probably been going on way too long about this book, but please just do yourself a favor and read Eden Brook. It's so cute. And also, I would not consider this a Christian or faith-based story. It's just very clean and wholesome. Same thing as But He's My Grumpy Neighbor. So it's like 1800s rom-com. Next, I want to go over the 2 books I am currently reading. So this one I am buddy reading with my friend on Bookstagram, and I think hers is Juliet's Lovely Library. I'll put it up here on the screen. But this is A Bond of Briars by Erin Phillips. This is like a fantasy inspired by the Book of Ruth, and it's very interesting. The magic system has me like a slight bit confused at the current moment. I am enjoying it. It's very cottagecore, and so if you know me, you know that I just love the cottagecore vibes, and they're here in this. So she is basically this, she's pretty much like a witch, but that's not the term they use in here. She has some kind of magic. She doesn't like this magic. She wants to be free of this magic. It's very dark. She doesn't want it in her life. And so something happened in the past. I don't know what happened yet. I'm like 30% into it. Something not good. And she just wants to be like, doesn't want to be this different type of outcast. And so her husband dies, her father-in-law dies, her brother-in-law dies, and so she goes on this journey with her mother-in-law to go back to her hometown. And right now, at the part that I'm at, she's pretty much being an outcast. There have been a few cute other ladies that have come in and like kind of taken her under their wing, and I'm definitely starting to see where the romance is going to bloom between her and the guy who's supposed to represent Boaz in the Book of Ruth. So yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I don't know what exactly I'm going to end up rating this, but the vibes are there and I'm just going along for the ride. And then my other current read I'm reading on Kindle. It's called To Bring You Back by Emily Conrad, and this one is more of like a dramatic romance, which is not what I typically read. I really like rom-coms if I'm going to read romance, or I guess I like fantasy dramatic romance. Like literally life or death stakes. Maybe throw a dragon or two in there. But this one just has me like on the edge of my seat. I think I'm about 30% in of this one also. But you are following a gal. Sorry, I'm like so bad with names. I cannot remember either of their names. But you're following this gal, and she lives in this like small town. She's a church secretary. She also like works at like a hot dog food truck. And so her life is pretty much not what she expected it to be. And she has this past with this man who is now like a rock star. She was originally a part of this band that has really taken off. He is a Christian, the band is not Christian, but he comes back because they had something really bad happen in their past, and he needs closure and she needs closure. She's really struggling with if God has truly forgiven her for her past. And so I am just loving seeing her struggle with this, because it's something I have for sure struggled with before, like not feeling like you deserve forgiveness, because if we're being honest, none of us deserve the forgiveness that God can give. She's just very relatable in that aspect for me. And then the guy who is like in this band, he has kept his faith this whole time, and I just love hearing his little tidbits about his faith and what he knows God is wanting to use him for. And it's not cheesy in any manner. In my opinion, I don't think it's very cheesy, because I've heard a lot of Christian fiction is cheesy, which I did read 2 Christian fiction books in June, and one of them, like, I was biting my nails trying to get through. Like, it was just horrible. and that one was for sure cheesy. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to be mean. And then the other one, I had to DNF like 40% into it because I just could not get under like the trope of it. So I have read a couple cringy Christian fiction books, so I think I know what people mean when they're like, ooh, that's a cringy Christian fiction book. But this one is not. I am really enjoying it. I'm kind of on the edge of my seat, like I need to know what happened. And now that I kind of know what happened, I am just really excited to see what God does in the lives of these two. I want to see her accept his forgiveness, and I want her to be able to forgive herself, and I want to kind of see this guy, honestly, I hope he gets out of the band. I hope he gets out of the limelight. Or I hope his band turns into a Christian band and reaches more people. So that's what I'm currently reading. That's what I have read. I am just having such a good time reading again. I feel so much joy. I am so excited. And that's everything that I really wanted to share with you today. Please, 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 if you want to watch me go on this journey of finding more God-honoring books, please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, do all those things that YouTubers always say to do. I'm so happy to be back, and I am so happy to get on here and to connect with other believers that want to read some wholesome fiction books. So anyway, I hope you guys have an absolutely great week, and I will be back. I'm not 100% sure when I'll be back. We'll see what my posting schedule is going to be like, but I will be back sooner than I was last time. So I hope you guys have a great week, and I will talk with you next time.